something on good and bad training and tactics. You combine those, you get 1 in a million.
Paging Mayor Bendelstein. Paging Mayor Bendelstein.
Hey, David Margulies, how you doing?
Just making sure you're not logged in, ignoring the shear. That's all. What's doing?
I love seeing your black face right there.
How's that? I don't see you. Ooh, Meyer, bedhead. You wake up with the
Nah, man. Take care of the kids in the morning, dude.
What's that? I didn't hear what you said, but I agree with it. Somebody's breaking up. Let's see what we got here. Where's Rabbi Sternberg? So I'll take my face off the screen. I don't want to be the only one. Mayor, you want to follow, see what's going on? See if the Rebbe is doing well?
I don't have his number.
Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi. We were just talking about you.
Hi, David. How are you? Okay.
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Okay.
Rabbi, we were getting nervous.
I know. I don't get too nervous, Baruch Hashem. Yeah, Hashem is on your side. Don't be nervous. Okay. Okay, so we will, Mitzvah Hashem will continue with the piece over here, very famous idea. He's going to continue. So we're discussing yesterday and the day before this idea of tzaddikim and their taking control of their lives, which is absolutely crucial. Fatami says, what's this idea over here? She'ena Kodesh Baruch Hu meiniach es hayetzer hara sheyagara b'tzaddikim. We mentioned yesterday that Hashem protects the tzaddikim. Hashem is looking over for the tzaddikim that the yetzer hara should not overwhelm them. He says, Shemi'acha sheyodea derech tzaddikim. Hashem is aware of where the tzaddikim are going with their lives, where they're taking themselves. V'nodeh l'kol tzva'am arom tokfon ugvurosam. And in Shemayim, they recognize the intensity and the strength of these tzaddikim. Shehem gibori koach, that they have such discipline. lichposh es yitzrim, to hold their drives in control. In Cain, if that be the case, he brings down ein tzorach lahatricham. Why is it so crucial to put them to the test? Or bedinhu, and really, sheyitlu schar mishalem, they should be paid up completely. Kima yisron labalav, what benefit is there? Ki imrus einav, just to see what your eyes see. Va'afal pi says shakol golei v'tzofi lefanav, Hashem is aware of everything. Nevertheless, this is the idea he wants to bring down. Ratzah kodesh baruch hu sheyedu kol tzva marom. Hashem wants that everything, all of the heavenly creation should be aware. Ki tzadik Hashem v'tzadik dino. The way Hashem judges is 100% flawless. Shenosen leish kidrachav. Hashem pays back everyone precisely. Now, just as an aside over here, in other words, we're being told over that each person is being paid back precisely, according to the letter of the law. There's a very famous Gemara in Brachos which brings down, we say in Birkas Kohanim, it says, Yisa Hashem panav elecha, that Hashem shows somewhat of a favoritism to the Jewish people. And the Malachim asked, by what right does Hashem show favoritism? How is he allowed to do that? Because it mentions over here, Hashem has to pay each one according to what's coming to them. So he explains how is it possible that Hashem could show a certain favoritism? He says, because the Jews show favoritism. How is that the Gemara? There's a Gemara in 6 Perek in Brachos. Because Hashem tells us by the mitzvah of Birkas Hamazon, it says, V'achalta v'savata uveirachta. You'll eat, you'll be totally satiated, and then you'll say Birkas Hamazon. So the Gemara understands that the obligation to say Birkas Hamazon is only relevant as if a person is totally satiated. And for some people, that might be quite a bit. And the Gemara says that the Jewish people have accepted upon themselves that even if they eat just a kazayas of bread, which is such a small amount of bread, the Jews say Birkas Hamazon. So the Gemara, so that's Hashem's answer. He says, since the Jews go out of their way to expand the obligation of a mitzvah, they're going beyond the obligation. So that gives me, Hashem says, the ability to also show favoritism. Since the Jews go above and beyond, therefore I'm able to go above and beyond. So that's just an important idea, like we mentioned before. The more we go lifnei mishuras hadin, that allows Hashem to justify how he goes lifnei mishuras hadin with the Jewish people. But what's he bring down over here is that Hashem knows the greatness of the tzaddikim, and it's all known there. But what is that Hashem has to justify according to Midas Hadin why each person is being awarded accordingly, like it says in the Zohar. Elokim nisa es Avram. Listen to this beautiful idea over here. It says that Hashem tested Avraham Avinu. The lo shayach gabe kudshe bricha loshen nisayon. Nisayon means, as we're familiar in the English, to test. There's no such concept as a test before Hashem. Hashem knows exactly what the results are going to be. Knows if Hashem is testing someone, it's in no way a reflection on Hashem. Hashem knows what the results are going to be. So how does the Zohar understand the word nisayon? Very nice idea. Elahu loshen haramas nes. A nes, it's the same thing with the word nes. We translate the word nes to mean a miracle. But if you look in Shmon Esrei, which we daven 3 times a day, it says, "V'son nes lekabetz gulu yosenu." What does it mean when we say in the Brach and Shmon Esrei, "V'son nes lekabetz gulu yosenu"? A nes is a banner; it's a flag, and that's what a nes is. What does a nes mean? Hashem's saying, "I'm trying to catch your attention." When you wave when somebody's waving a flag, they're trying to catch your attention. Notice me. So when Hashem performs a miracle, a nes, he's trying to give off a message. Take notice, I'm here. I'm trying to show you something. I'm trying to point out something. I'm trying to catch your attention. Just like as hopefully we've been shown quite a bit for the past number of months now. Hashem is trying to catch our attention and to realize how much Hashem runs the world. And we think, we thought up until now that everything is going a certain way, and see how Hashem just shut down the entire world to get at least our attention to recognize that Hashem is the Adon HaKol, and that the others who think they're the Adon HaKol are not really. But this is the idea of a nes, And the same thing over here, the same thing for nisayon. It's to get you to recognize, it's to make others aware of certain things. It's haramas nes. Hashem is trying to uplift this person. That's the idea. The Ramban brings down, what is the idea of a nisayon? He said each person is created with certain potential. But if the potential is just left there, then it never grows into anything. So Hashem will put tests in front of someone in order to bring out that potential to the reality. So that's what he's telling us over here. Well, he says, Bara Yoetz hara. Hashem created the Yoetz hara for the tzaddikim. Why is that? Shal yodo yivada, it will become known, la'einei hakol. Everyone will realize, asher tzidkas Hashem asa umishpatov. Now it's like Rashi quotes this in Bereshis, so in Parshas Vayera, by the end, right by the Akedah. So Hashem pleads with Avram Avinu, just do this last test so I can justify why I made the commitment to the Jewish people, why I, Hashem, identify with the Jewish people for eternity. When you will pass this last test, when you go through with the Nisayon of the Akedah, I'll be able to justify this in front of all of the heavenly creations. So this is the idea that he's bringing down over here, that Hashem created the Yoetz hara in order to give an opportunity for Hashem to justify how he rewards the tzaddikim. You know Gim Bezroa, and he acts that way forcefully. Umitoch Shenitna Rishus Lamashris, because Hashem gave permission to the Yoetz hara lefatot ulahasit, to tempt someone. Mefatek gam kein eser rashoyim. No, it also, since it's out there, since the force of the Yoetz hara is out there to tempt the tzaddikim, to show them, to show the heavenly creations how righteous and how worthy the tzaddikim are, they also tempt the Rishoyim and the Soyim and the foolish people. Over V'nemsha, they're going to be held accountable for what they did. But he says ostensibly, look what he says, Nimtzu shelo bora kodesh baruch hu es ha-Yoetz hara. Hashem did not create the Yoetz hara. Kedei lipara min ha-Rishoyim. He didn't do it in order to trip up the Rishoyim. That was not the objective of the Yoetz hara. Hashem is not setting people up for failure. That's not what Hashem wanted. Chas v'shalom. Kilo kel chavetz barosha. Hashem doesn't want wickedness. Ubenekimas b'riyosef. Hashem is not looking to take revenge against someone. That's such a misconception people have. That when Hashem judges someone, it's not to get revenge against anyone. That's not the objective of Midas Hadin. It's like if someone chas v'shalom has an illness in them, and they have to go through surgery or whatever it is to correct something that's been damaged. So that's not a punishment. That's not taking revenge on someone. That's corrective. That's the idea over here. So if Hashem judges, meets out judgment on someone, it's in order to mechaper for the person. It's in order to correct something that was problematic. But what was the objective of the Yoetz hara altogether? He says, the whole purpose of the Yoetz hara was in order to give reward to the tzaddikim, that they had such self-control over themselves. And they're giving nachas to Hashem. This, he's telling us, was the whole purpose of the Yoetz hara. Like we say, we should serve Hashem b'chol levavchem, with both Yoetzes, with our Yoetz tov, with our Yoetz hara. It's all there in order to give us this reward. V'hei nemes, he says it's true, continues. Shilafi zeh, according to this, Motza ha-chakira mokam lanuach v'lad. There is for us to look into. Lama zeh bara hakadosh baruch hu es ha-rashoyim. Then what is the object? Why are there rashoyim in the world? In other words, if Hashem wants that only tzaddikim should be rewarded, then why are there rashoyim? B'frat osam shein lem chelek olam haba. And certainly for those that become that have damaged themselves to such an extent that there's no chelik and olam haba for them. It would have been much better for them had they not been brought into existence to begin with. Now, those people who live their lives and they forfeited everything, why would Hashem bring them into the world? He's asking. Very fascinating, deep idea over here. Hashem sees, Hashem knows everything. So why did Hashem bring this person into the world? If he sees that this person in the end is going to forfeit everything, then why did Hashem bring him into the world? Lama bar b'olam hazeh, what's the point? Haim kedei linoke mehem? Was it to take revenge? Because they angered. Knows every time a person sins, we also have to recognize there's a very famous idea. The Nefesh HaChaim brings this down, that when Nebuchadnezzar came into and Titus came into the Beis Hamikdash to destroy it, a voice came out of heaven and said, all you did was you ground up ground flour. In other words, you Nebuchadnezzar, you Titus, you didn't destroy the Beis Hamikdash. What destroyed the Beis Hamikdash were the Averas of the Jews. The Jews destroyed the Jews destroyed the Beis Hamikdash. What you did is, the Medrash brings down, is you ground up ground flour. It had already been destroyed. You just ground it up already, what was ground up already. What the non-Jews do cannot affect anything. There's a very important idea I once heard. After the flood, Hashem makes a statement to Noah, and it says that Hashem will never destroy the world again for what man does. And we look at that to a certain extent as an enormous bracha, that Hashem is not going to, what man does is no longer to destroy the world. What this person wanted to bring out was a very, very deep idea also. Up until the flood, everything that man does had cosmic impact. Those when we do things, we have to recognize that we're not just doing a small thing over here. It's like, if a person presses a button in a factory or whatever, that can set into motion who knows how many machines and who knows what's going on over here. When they press a button in NASA, something's happening on a spacecraft or by Mars or the Hubble telescope. Things are happening, in all tens of thousands and millions of miles away, just by pressing a little button on, in NASA. Who knows what's going on on Mars or on the Hubble spacecraft up there. So we see that they can do a small action over here and can have cosmic effect. So in a spiritual world, that's the way it works. Up until the flood, every decision that a man made had enormous effect in Shemayim. That was taken away from man. Man no longer can corrupt the world to that extent anymore. Man is no longer that chashuv. In the big picture, man was demoted. And therefore his actions are no longer as damaging or as critical. The only ones who remained were the Jews. The Jews, and that's why we have over here, that anything that happens to the world is for the Jews. It's for the Jews to learn from. Hashem's hashgacha is on Eretz Yisrael and on the Jews specifically. And everything that goes around in the world is basically for the Jews. It's all revolving on us. So when the non-Jews say it's the Jews' fault, in other words, or better yet, let me just bring you down another idea. It's also a very beautiful idea. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah brings down that in the end of days, Hashem is going to offer a reward to all those that did mitzvahs. So the Gemara brings down a fascinating discussion over there, and it mentions that the Roman Empire is going to come up first, and they say, well, we deserve reward. We did so many good things, we deserve reward. So God says, well, what did you do exactly? He says, what do you mean? We built roads. We built bathhouses. We built commerce. We did so many things. And you know why we did it all? It was for the Jews so that they should learn Torah. We built roads so that Jews could travel from Babel to Israel, that they could learn. We built all for the Jews to learn Torah. So the Gemara this is what the Gemara says. The Gemara laughs. He says, you fools. He said, you didn't do it for the Jews. You did it for yourselves. And the Gemara goes through one nation after another, pointing out that they're all coming up with understandings of why they deserve to get reward, because everything they did was in order to benefit the Jews so that they should be able to learn Torah. So it's a very famous statement that the Brisker Rav points out. He says, if you'll notice, the Gemara is very careful with its language. It says that he calls them fools. He says, it doesn't call them liars, it calls them fools. Meaning what? He says, what they said is 100% true, he says. When they said that the Romans built the roads, it's 100% true they built the roads so that the Jews could learn Torah. In other words, God has everything, God manipulates everything in the world, so it's all revolving around the Jews. He said, but that wasn't why you did it. In other words, you Romans, you didn't do it for that reason. When they invented the airplane, it's in order to bring Jews to Israel. or anything that's being invented, all the smartphones and everything else is all for the Jews to be able to learn better and to come closer and to do what they need to do. But that's not what motivated them. And therefore, that's why they're not going to get rewarded for it. It depends on what your kavanah is. Your kavanah is what makes the difference in everything. That's not what they wanted. But the truth is that everything that happens in the world is for the Jews. And that's what he wants. This is what he's bringing down over here. Should we say chas v'shalom? That if a person forfeits everything, Hashem wants to take revenge against him because of what he did, that it made such damage in Shemayim again, because when a Jew does an Aveira, it causes enormous damage in Shemayim. It's not just over here that he has impact. A Jew's actions affect all of what goes on in Shemayim. He said that for sure can't be. Chalila lemelach rachum v'chanu. He says chas v'shalom. That's not why God did that. Father, asher racham aval kol ma'asav me'asav. God would never do that. Kvar sholu bezeh bezohar kadosh. In this week's parshas, you have what to talk about. It looks like because we look about the meraglim and the terrible things that the damage that they caused the meraglim. In the Zohar, it already asked it in Parshas Shlach Lecha. What's the tshuva to this? He says like this. He says, "The orchui de kodshabrichu, the sistren." He says you should know the ways of Hashem and His hidden ways. Genizen Eloyin, they are hidden upon hidden. To sotim v'gonos, it's closed and it's hidden. V'les loch shela, and there's no room to ask. Ayin sham. In other words, again, he's pointing out the idea, and as we're talking to us, who we can hopefully have an appreciation on some level for what he's telling us over here. In other words, why did Hashem bring into the world certain people that when God knew that in the end they'll be forfeiting everything? So the Zohar asked the question, and the Zohar answers, and he said this is part of the hidden ideas of creation. These are from the things that are beyond our understanding. We believe be'emunah shleima. What Hashem does is 100% perfect. There's no imperfection by Hashem whatsoever. The only other thing I'll point out is there's a very famous Gemara in Gittin. The Gemara does bring down that from the greatest, I think Rabbi Meir, the great Tana Rabbi Meir, is a descendant. I don't want to say. The Gemara brings down that from Sisera, who was one of the generals of the Midianites, and he was one of the worst, one of the enemies of the Jewish people. From one of his descendants, and from Nebuzadran, the Gemara brings down who murdered millions and millions. When we think of Hitler, Yamach Shimon, Nebuzadran is also up there. On one rock, the Gemara brings down how he crushed babies. He took babies and he killed them on one rock. The Gemara brings down the numbers are just astronomical of the murders that this man committed. And yet the Gemara brings down that his children are learning Torah, his descendants are learning Torah. And I think the Gemara brings down by Rabbi Meir that Nero, he also from his descendants. So we see that even though the person himself might be from the corrupt of the corrupt, from their descendants you might get something out of the descendants. So Hashem brings certain people into the world, not necessarily for themselves, but for what might come as a result from them. So we never know. We never know. And as he's pointing out over, these are part of the secrets of Hashem's running of the world. It's all hidden from us. We have no idea of the calculation, but from Rishonim can come very great people down the line. Even Chas v'Shalom, even from Nazis, you have people who are converted already today, and they're learning Torah. You have people like that their great grandparents were, from the murderers, and now their descendants are part of the Jewish people. So we don't know where it works, right? That's the famous idea that said by Moshe Rabbeinu before he killed the Mitzri. When Moshe Rabbeinu killed the Mitzri that was hitting the Jew, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu looked throughout all the descendants to see if anything is going to come out of that Mitzri, if anything. And once he saw that nothing came out of the Mitzri, then he killed him. Because we have no idea of the big picture. We just see what's in front of us right now. We have no idea how that worked, right? We would have assumed that after World War, if anything, Germany should have been destroyed off the map, and yet it's still around. It's still very. We don't know what Hashem has in store. Judgment is certainly going to be taking place. There's no question about it. Our frustration is that we think that Hashem has to work by our agenda. That's our biggest frustration. We think that Hashem has to follow the way we see the world, the way the world should run. Hashem should run the world the way we understand it, and that's what causes us our enormous frustration. And the answer is Hashem doesn't run the world according to our agenda. It's because we have 120 years in this world, and we want to see that everything's taken care of in the 120 years that we're around. And the reality is that that's not the way Hashem runs the world. It's more than 120 years out there, and we came in the middle, and we're not necessarily at the end either. And that's, as I said, that's our tension over here. We would like everything to be answered and done at our pace, and Hashem just doesn't do it that way. And that's this is where Amunah comes in our understanding that we're just part of a long chain. We have to appreciate our role in that, and to humble ourselves a little bit and to appreciate that there are a lot of things that are way beyond our. It's like Rabbi Miller used to quote the pasuk in Koheles. It says that Hashem is in Shemayim, and man is in this world. Al kenyu dvarechem moatim. Therefore, you shouldn't talk too much. In other words, Hashem sees things from his perspective, from Shemayim, and we see things from our perspective in this world. And therefore, we think we have opinions about everything. Everybody has Jews are very, very opinionated people. They know the answers to everything, right? And they can solve all the world's problems. And we have to realize is that, like it says in Koheles, Al kenyu dvarechem moatim. It's best not to talk too much. It's better to let Hashem accept the way Hashem runs the world. I'll never forget this. Rabbi Tauber, Zichron Levracha, he said he would always ask his group. He was a very major Kiruv speaker. So I'll end up with this idea. It's a very, very fascinating idea. He said that he would always ask his group, he said, Hashem gives you two choices. How would you like your life to go? Do you want to call the shots? And whatever you want, you can have. Whatever you want, it's all yours. But on this condition, that the end result you're accountable for. Or God would say, do you want me to run the show? And I'll make sure that it works out. Which way would you want to choose? Would you choose that you call the shots, but you're accountable for the end result? Or would you want God to run the show and he'll make sure that it works out? So he says, always that, people pick that, well, if God will run the show for sure, let God run the show. He says, well, God is running your show. So why are you complaining about that? In other words, you would want God to run your show. God's running your show over here. He's calling the shots. And he's going to make sure that everything gets to where it needs to get to. So why is it that we always have problems and we always have criticism, we have critique? We're always critiquing. What are we doing that for? If God's running the show and he's going to make sure that it's going to work out, so then stop critiquing. In other words, do you want to do it your way? No, we don't want to do it our way because you never know where we're going to end up. It's like giving, when you give these people the lottery and they win these $100 million lottery, they wind up drug addicts in some way because they don't know what to do with their money. They don't know how to handle anything. And that's our problem also. We wouldn't know how to handle anything. So Hashem is handling it, and therefore we should be very appreciative that Hashem is doing that. And as he ends off over here, he says, there are things which are above and beyond us. And we have to humble ourselves a little bit and to live with certain questions. That's what my Rabbi once said, that, he asked his father, after you learn Gemara very often, you're going through a whole page and the Gemara ends in Teiku. Teiku, we don't have an answer. So he says, what is all that? He says, well, the Gemara is teaching you have to learn to live with questions too. That's also part of life. We don't have an answer for everything. We have to learn to live with questions. And we move on. We live with it. And that's the way life goes sometimes. Okay. So, Mitzvah Hashem, we will finish this piece of Bezrat Hashem tomorrow.
Do you have any time for questions?
Yeah, I have a question for a minute. Yeah.
Okay. Was Reish Lakish a Russia?
The Gemara brings down that he was a Rashi. He started that he was a bandit. He was a thief. And he did
He was a
tshuva, yeah.
pretty bad guy, no? But he wasn't considered a Russia?
He was a thief. He was a thief. Yeah, he did tshuva. Right? He did
Uh-huh.
tshuva. Right?
Right.
Right?
Also, another quick.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. Right.
Why a person has a choice to either go to Gehenna to cleanse himself or to come back to this world, or that's not their choice? And why would one choose one or the other?
I don't know about. I'll answer something that Rabbi Miller always used to answer. He says, those are more like those are more esoteric ideas. I'm not familiar.
Right.
I'm not familiar with it. He would say if the Gemara doesn't talk about it, I'm not going to answer it. I can't even say if the Gemara doesn't talk about it because I don't know the Gemaras like he knew. But be that as it may, I'm not familiar. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't know. But Mr. Shem shouldn't need either of them. Shouldn't need either
Amen.
of them.
Amen.
We should all fulfill what we need to fulfill in this world. Correct.
Amen.
And that's actually
Amen.
okay. Very good. Have an amazing
Rabbi.
day.
Baruch
We'll pick
Hu
up
Shalom.
tomorrow. Okay.
Amen. Ooh, David.
Yeah. He's
Adorable.
following the law. Very good. You keep.
He's
the
the doctor his parents always wanted him to be.
Right.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. See you
Bye.
tomorrow.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Bye, Mayor.
Bye, David.